The news starts now.
The last several years at UT have been marked by turmoil, fractures, and the development of camps. This is not healthy, nor is it productive for our university.
Good afternoon, and thanks for watching. I'm Moira Kay. Our top story this afternoon, the University of Tennessee men's athletic director Mike Hamilton has announced his resignation. The announcement was made in a news conference on UT's campus about an hour ago. Hamilton has been the athletic director since 2003. He joined the athletic department in 1992 as associate athletics director. Hamilton's resignation comes before the hearing in front of the NCAA on Friday regarding the alleged violations in the football and basketball programs. We are covering this story from several angles. Joining us this afternoon from UT's campus is Chris Budden. Chris, tell us about this. This is a huge story on the campus.
It certainly is. It was kind of a surprise when we heard about it this morning, as you said, with the NCAA meeting coming up on Friday. But Mike Hamilton said many times that he felt like this was inevitable. He actually said over the last 3 months he's become a lightning rod for negative attention. Brought up several times the columns and articles that people have written about him. So he felt like this was a good time to step down for Tennessee. Also mentioned his family a lot. Said that, he's had to have police escorts, safety. And he did say now he will not go immediately into another job. He will take some time to determine what he wants to do, but he did say he would like to be an athletic director at some point. Again, I want to go with you a timeline of how exactly this resignation happened. Now, the SEC meetings were down in Destin last week. During that time, he met with Chancellor Jimmy Cheek, gave him a piece of paper, and said that he would like to resign. Interesting, Jimmy Cheek said that he did not try and talk him out of it, but he also did not force him to resign. So that was last week. Now, they said today that Hamilton's resignation will be effective on June 30th, but as of June 13th, he will be on paid leave. They negotiated a little bit over how much money he will receive with his resignation. She ultimately said that Hamilton deserves this $1.3 million. That will be over the next 36 months. But as we said, the timing is a little bit interesting because this comes just 3 days before they're supposed to meet with the NCAA investigation committee up in Indianapolis. They said that this was one of the reasons that Hamilton decided to step down, so that they could go into these meetings with a clean slate. Now, Mike Hamilton will still be the main representative because he was the athletic director during that time with Kiffin and Bruce Pearl and everyone that will meet up there. They will not have an interim AD. In fact, Jimmy Cheek said that they have not even talked with anyone about who will be the possibility of an interim. They hope to make that decision soon, but as of right now, it will just be Hamilton and a bunch of other Tennessee representatives heading to Indianapolis for the NCAA meetings up there on Friday and Saturday. Joining me in the room earlier today was Terry Brooks, and you got to listen to Hamilton and talk to us a little bit more about what he had to say on the day that he announces his resignation.
Chris, as you know, a lot of people would say this was 3 years in the making, and with Tennessee, he's set to go in front of the NCAA Infractions Committee. Mike Hamilton said this was inevitable, this resignation of his, and he said the timing contributed to him stepping down today, and he got a chance to say his final goodbyes this afternoon.
I've never experienced more challenge or frustration in my 26 years of professional life than during the last 18 months. I accept the responsibility for the things that have led to some of these challenges. Ultimately, I think today was inevitable. Last week, I approached Chancellor Jimmy Cheek about the possibility of tendering my resignation. The last several years at UT have been marked by turmoil, fractures, and the development of camps. This is not healthy, nor is it productive for our university. During the last 3 months in particular, I myself have become a lightning rod for negative attention, and that's a major distraction for the many positive things that are going on in athletics and on our campus.
Now, Jimmy Cheek, the chancellor, said that Hamilton was not forced out. As a matter of fact, he was adamant that it did not happen that way. As a matter of fact, he brought Hamilton and said that he's disappointed that he's leaving. Now, what is Tennessee going to do next? It's going to be a nationwide search that takes place for the next athletic director.
Thanks so much, Terry. It was interesting to see in the room who all was there. Some faces that were, some faces that were not. Did not see Derek Dooley in there. Did not see Joan Cronin. But we did see a lot of the Lady Vol staff. Saw the weeklies, the softball coaches there. Pat Summit's entire staff was there, and she talked to me afterwards about how sad it is to see one of her friends resign.
And that's just wanting to be the best he can be, and I think he's demonstrated that. But there's been some difficult times, and with that, right now I just really feel for him.
Well, Pat Summitt says she's definitely not going to throw her hat in the ring. Of course, there's several fans that would like to see her become the athletic director. She said that's definitely not happening, that she would still like to coach for a couple years. Speaking of fans, Steve Butera joins us now with more of their reaction.
Well, Chris, right now it's been kind of a mixed reaction today on the UT campus here. People were talking about Hamilton through some of the good things that he's been doing, like the renovations over at Neyland Stadium, but in the end they say that the coaching conundrum between what happened with Lane Kiffin to Bruce Pearl is the reason for his resignation.
Pretty much after I heard that he was letting the baseball coach go, that's pretty much when I figured, you know, all three of our top team's coaches are gone. When Bruce Pearl was fired, you just kind of thought something was going to happen to Mike Hamilton sometime soon. You didn't know whether he was going to resign or get fired, you know.
Mike Hamilton seems to kind of, until now, get through it unscathed, and was waiting for him to either resign or be fired.
And a lot of the fans here today, especially from the students who were either at the library this morning, said that they heard, they got a message, they got an email from the chancellor announcing the resignation of Mike Hamilton here, what they've told us today. But again, a lot of people said that this was just writing on the wall when what happened with the Bruce Pearl situation occurred a couple of months ago. Chris, back to you.
Thanks so much, Steve. And still with Mike Hamilton's resignation, there are still a couple loose ends. We talked about the NCAA violation. We still don't have a baseball coach, as Todd Raleigh was fired just a few weeks ago. Mike Hamilton said he will not be in charge of finding that baseball coach. They do have a couple names in the mix. Those people have all been contacted, but Mike Hamilton will not make that decision. As for the timeline as to when they want to find an AD, they said they hope to have an interim named by the end of the week, but they have not even talked to anyone about that. Jimmy Cheek said when asked how long it will take to find an AD, he said hopefully by the time football season starts. They said they like to get on this ASAP, but they will take a nationwide search. Also, when asked if they want someone with Tennessee ties, he didn't say necessarily that they're going to search around the nation. If that person happens to be on campus, that's great, but that's not necessarily a factor. Just to wrap things up, Mike Hamilton has announced his resignation today. It will be effective June 30th. As of the 13th, though, he will be on paid leave, and Mike Hamilton will receive a $1.3 million pay over 36 months. We will have much more of this covered throughout the day on 10 News and 5 and 6. Moira, we will toss it back inside of the studio with you.
Chris, thank you, and thanks for all the hard work you and your team did there on campus. We appreciate it. And we will have continuing coverage on Mike Hamilton's resignation coming up on all our shows on 10 News. And you can check WBIR.com for updates throughout the day. We will have the entire press conference up on our website later this afternoon. In other news,